Jana Mejaya say it. How did those heroes, the Kurus, the Pandavas, and the Somakas, and the high-souled kings assembled together from various countries fight? Vaisambhayana say it. Listen thou how those heroes, the Kurus, the Pandavas, and the Somakas fought on the sacred plain of the Kurukshetra. Entering Kurukshetra, the Pandavas, and with great might, along with the Somakas, advanced, desirous of victory against the Kauravas, accomplished in the stud of the Vedas, all took great delight in battle, expectant of success in battle with their troops, faced the fight. Approaching the arm of the Dhritarashtra's son, those invincibly in battle stationed themselves with their troops on the western part, their faces turned towards the east. Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, caused tents by thousands to be set up, according to rule, beyond the region called Samantapankhaka. The whole earth seemed then to be in pit, divested of horses and men, destitute of cars and elephants, and with only the children and the old left. From the whole area of Jamvu over which the sun sheds his rays, was collected that force. Men of all races assembled together, occupied an area extending for many yojanas over districts, rivers, hills, and woods. That bore among men, King Yudhishthira ordered excellent food and other articles of enjoyment for all of them, along with their animals. And Yudhishthira fixed diverse watchwords for them, so that on saying this should be known as belonging to the Pandavas, and that descendant of Kuru race settled names and badges for all of them for recognition during time of battle. Beholding the standard top of Pritha's son, the high-souled son of Dhritarashtra, with a white umbrella held over his head, in the midst of 1,000 elephants, and surrounded by his century of brothers, began with all the kings to array his troops against the son of Pandu. Seeing Duryodhana, the Pankhalas, who took delight in battle, were filled with joy and blew their loud-sounding conches and cymbals of sweet sounds. Beholding those troops so delighted, Pandu's son and Vasudeva of great energy had their hearts filled with joy, and those tigers among men, Vasudeva and Dhananjaya, seated on one car, having felt great joy, both blew their celestial conches. And hearing the blare of Gigantea and the loud blast of Theodotus, belonging unto the two, the combatants ejected urine and excreta, as other animals are filled with fear on hearing the voice of the roaring lion. Even so became that force upon hearing those blasts. A frightful dust arose, and nothing could be seen, for the sun himself, suddenly enveloped by it, seemed to have set. A black cloud poured a shower of flesh and blood over the troops all around. All this seemed extraordinary. A wind rose there, bearing along the earth myriads of stone nodules, and afflicting there with the combatants by hundreds and thousands. Both armies, filled with joy, stood at rest for battle on Kurukshetra, like two agitated oceans. That encounter of the two armies was highly wonderful, like that of two oceans, when the end of the yuga is arrived. The whole earth was in pit, having only children and the old left, in consequence of that large arm mustered by the Kauravas. Then the Kurus, the Pandavas, and the Somakas made certain covenants and settled the rules regarding the different kinds of combat. Persons equally circumstanced must encounter each other, fighting fairly. And if having fought fairly the combatants withdraw, even that won't be gratifying to us. Those who engaged in contests of words should be fought against with words. Those that left the ranks should never be slain. A warrior should have a warrior for his antagonist. He on the neck of an elephant should have a similar combatant for his foe. A horse should be met by a horse, and a foot soldier should be met by a foot soldier. Guided by considerations of fitness, willingness, daring and might, one should strike another, giving Nazi. No one should strike another that is unprepared or panic-struck. On engaged with another, on seeking quarter, on retreating, on whose weapon is handled unfit, encased in mail, should never be struck. Car drivers, animals, men engaged in the transport of weapons, players on drums, and blowers of conches should never be struck. Having made these covenants, the Kurus and the Pandavas and the Somakas wondered much, gazing at each other, and having stationed those bulls among men, those high-souled ones, with their troops, became glad at heart, their joy being reflected on their countenances. Vaisampayana said, seeing then the two armies on the east and the west for the fierce battle that was impending, the whole Rish, Vyasa, the son of Satyavati, that foremost of all persons acquainted with the Vedas, that grandsire of the Bharatas, conversant with the past, the present, and the future, and beholding everything as if it were present before his eyes, said these words in private unto the royal son of Vikhitravirya, who was then distressed and giving way to sorrow, reflecting on the evil policy of his sons. Vyasa said, thy sons and the other monarchs have their hour arrived. Mustered impatiently, they will kill one another. Their hour having come, they will all perish. Bearing in mind the change brought on by time, do not yield thy heart to grief. If thou wish to see them impatiently, I will grant thee vision. Behold the battle. Dhritarashtra said, I like not to behold the slaughter of kinsmen. I shall, however, throw thy potence hear of this battle minutely. Upon his not wishing to see the battle, but wishing to hear of it, Vyasa, that lord of Buons, gave a Buon to Sanjaya. This Sanjaya will describe the battle to thee. Nothing in the whole battle will be beyond his own eyes. Endowed with celestial vision, Sanjaya will narrate the battle to thee. He will have knowledge of everything, manifest or concealed, by day or by night, even that which is talked of in the mind. Sanjaya shall know everything. Weapons will not cut him, and exertion will not fatigue him. The son of Gavalgani will come out of the battle with life. As regards myself, the fame of these Kurus, as also of the Pandavas, will spread. Do not grieve. This is destiny. It behoveth thee not to give way to grief. It is not capable of being prevented. As regards victory, it is there where righteousness is. That highly blessed and holy grandsire of the Kurus, having said so, once more addressed Dhritarashtra, and said, Great will the slaughter be in this battle. I see here omens indicative of the horror, hawks and vultures, and crows and herons, together with cranes, are alighting on the tops of trees and gathering in flocks. These birds, delighted at the prospect of battle, are looking down before them. Carnivorous beasts will feed on the flesh of elephants and steeds. Fierce herons foreboding terror and uttering merciless cries, are welling across the center towards the southern region, in both the twilights, prior and posterior. A daily behold, the sun during his rising and setting to be covered by headless trunks, three-colored clowns with their extremities white and head and necks black, charged with lightning, and tumbling masses enveloped the sun in both twilights. I have seen the sun, the moon, and the stars to be all blazing. No difference in their aspect is to be noted in the evening. I have seen these all day and all night. All these forebodes fear. On even the 15th night of the lighted fortnight in Kartika, the moon, divested of splendor, became invisible, or of the hue of fire, the firmament being of the hue of the lotus. Men heroic lords of earth, kings and princes, endowed with great bravery and possessed of arms and tumbling masses, will be slain, and sleep, lying down on the earth, daily and not in the sky during night time the fierce cries of battling boars and cats. The images of gods and goddesses sometimes loud, sometimes tremble, and sometimes again these vomit blood through their mouths, and sometimes they sweat, and sometimes fall down. Drums, without being beaten, give sounds, and the great cars of Kishatriyas move without animals yoked to them, kokillas, wood pickers, jaws, watercocks, pahots, crows, and peacocks utter terrible cries. Here and there, cavalry soldiers, cased in mail, armed with weapons, send forth fierce shouts. At sunrise, flights of insects by hundreds are seen. In both twilights, the cardinal quarters seem to be ablaze, and the clowns shower dust and flesh. She who is celebrated over the three wars and is applauded by the righteous, even that Arundhati keepeth Vasistha on her back, the planet Sunny, appeareth afflicting Rohini, the sign of the deer in the moon, hath deviated from its usual position. A great terror is indicated. Even though the sky is cloudless, a terrible horror is heard there. The animals are all weeping, and their tears are falling fast. Vyasa said, asses are taking births in kind. Some are having sexual pleasure with mothers. The trees in the forest are exhibiting unseasonable flowers and fruits. Women quick with child, and even those that are not so, are giving birth to monsters. Carnivorous beasts, mingling with birds, are feeding together. Ill-omened beasts, some having 3 horns, some with 4 eyes, some with 5 legs, some with 2 sexual organs, some with 2 heads, some with 2 tails, some having fierce teeth, are being born, and with mouths wide open are uttering unholy cries. Horses with 3 legs, furnished with crests, having 4 teeth, and endowed with horns, are also being born. In the seat is also seen that the wives of men utterers of Brahma are bringing forth Garudas and peacocks. The mare is bringing forth the cow-calf, and the bitch is bringing forth jackals and cocks, and antelopes and parrots are all uttering inauspicious cries. Certain women are bringing forth 4 or 5 daughters, and these, as soon as they are born, dance and sing and laugh. The members of the lowest orders are laughing and dancing and singing, and thus indicating direful consequences. Infants, as if urged by death, are drawing armed images, and are running against one another, armed with clubs, and desirous of battle, are also breaking down the towns. Lotuses of different kinds and lilies are growing on trees. Strong winds are blowing fiercely, and the dust ceaseth not. The earth is frequently trembling, and Hahu approacheth towards the sun. The white planet stayeth, having passed beyond the constellation Hitra. These particularly bodeth the destruction of the Kurus. A fierce comet riseth, afflicting the constellation Pusea. This great planet will cause frightful mischief to both the armies. Mars well left towards Magha, and Vrihaspati towards Saravana, the sun offspring approaching towards the constellation Vihaga, afflicteth it. The planet Sukra, ascending towards Purva Vihadra, shineth brilliantly, and welling towards the Uttara Vihadra, looketh towards it, having effected a junction. The white planet, blazing up like fire mixed with smoke, stayeth, having attacked the bright constellation Jestiha, that is sacred to Indra, the constellation Dhruva, blazing fiercely, well left towards the right. Both the moon and the sun are afflicting Hohini. The fierce planet hath taken up its position between the constellations Hitra and Sivati. The head body possessed of the effulgence of fire, welling circuitously, stayeth in a line with the constellation Saravana, overridden by Vrihaspati. The earth that produceth particular crops at particular seasons is now covered with the crops of every season. Every barley stalk is graced with 5 ears, and every pad stalk with 100. They that are the best of creatures in the world, and upon whom depends the universe, when milked after the cows have their suck, yield on blood. Radiant rays of light emanate from both, and swords blaze forth brilliantly. It is evident that the weapons behold the battle, as if it were already arrived. The hue of weapons and water, as also of coats of mail and standards, is like that of fire. A great slaughter will take place. In this battle of the Kurus with the Pandavas, the earth will be a river of blood with the standards as its hafts. Animals and birds on all sides, with mouths blazing like fire, uttering fierce cries, and displaying these evil omens, are foreboding terrible consequences. A bird with but one wing, one eye, and one leg, hovering over the sky in the night, screameth frightful in wrath, as if for making the hearers vomit blood. It seemeth that our weapons are now blazing with radiance. The effulgence of the constellation, known by the name of the 7 high-souled rishis, have been dimmed. Those 2 blazing planets, Vrihaspati and Sunny, having approached the constellation called Visakha, have become stationary there for a whole year. 3 lunations twice meeting together in course of the same lunar fortnight. The duration of the latter is shortened by 2 days, on the 13th day from the first lunation, according as it is the day of the full moon or the new moon. The moon and the sun are afflicted by Rahu. Such strange eclipses, both lunar and solar, forebode a great slaughter. All the quarters of the earth, being overwhelmed by showers of dust, look inauspicious. Fierce clouds, portentous of danger, drop blood showers during the night. Rahu of fierce deeds is afflicting the constellation Kirtika. Hog winds, portending fierce danger, are constantly blowing. All these beget a war characterized by many sad incidents. The constellations are divided into 3 classes. upon one or another of each class. A planet of evil omen has shed its influence, foreboding terrible dangers. A lunar fortnight had hitherto consisted of 14 days, or 15 days, or 16 days. These I never knew that the day of the new moon would be on the 13th day from the first lunation, or the day of full moon on the 13th day from the same. And yet in course of the same month, both the moon and the sun have undergone eclipses on the 13th days from the day of the first lunation. The sun and the moon, therefore, by undergoing eclipses on unusual days, will cause a great slaughter of the creatures of the earth. Hakis Hassas, talk drinking blood by mouthful, will yet not be satiated. The great rivers are flowing in opposite directions. The waters of rivers have become bloody. The wells, foaming up, are bellowing like bulls. Meteors effulgent like Indra thunderbolt fall with loud hisses. When this night passeth away, evil consequences will overtake you. People, for meeting together, coming out their houses with lighted brands, have still to encounter a thick gloom all around. Great riches have said that, in view of such circumstances, the earth drinks the blood of thousands of kings. From the mountains of Kailasa and Mandara and Himavat, thousands of explosions are heard and thousands of summits are tumbling down. In consequence of the earth trembling, each of the four oceans, having swelled greatly, seems ready to transgress its continents for afflicting the earth. Fierce winds charged with pointed pebbles are blowing, crushing mighty trees. In villages and towns trees, ordinary and sacred, are falling down, crushed by mighty winds and struck by lightning. The fire, when Brahmanas pour libations on it, becomes blue, or red, or yellow. Its flame bent towards the left, yielding a bad ascent, accompanied by loud reports. Touch, smell, and taste have become what they were not. The standards, repeatedly trembling, are emitting smoke. Drums and cymbals are throwing off showers of coal dust, and from the tops of tall trees around, crows, wailing in circles from the left, are uttering fierce cries. All of them again are uttering frightful cries of Paka, and are perching upon the tops of standards for the destruction of the kings. Vicious elephants, trembling all over, are running hither and thither, urinating and ejecting excreta. The horses are all melancholy, while the elephants are resorting to the water. Hearing all this, let that be done which is suitable, so that the world may not be depopulated. Hearing these words of his father, Dhritarashtra said, I think all these have been ordained of old. A great slaughter of human beings will take place, if the kings die in battle observing the duties of the Kshatriya order. They will then, attaining to the regions reserved for heroes, obtain only happiness. These tigers among men, casting away their lives in great battle, will win fame in this and great bliss forever in the next world. Thus addressed by his son, Dhritarashtra, that prince of poets, the Muni, concentrated his mind in supreme yoga. Having contemplated for only a short space of time, Vyasa once more said, Without doubt, it is time that destroyeth the universe. It is time that createth the worlds. There is nothing here that is eternal. Show the path of righteousness to the Kurus, to thy kinsmen, relatives, and friends. Thou art competent to restrain them. The slaughter of kinsmen hath been said to be sinful. to not do that which is disagreeably to me. Death himself hath been born in the shape of thy son. His laughter is never applauded in the Vedas. It can never be beneficial. The usages of own haste are as own body. Those usages slay him that destroyeth them. For the destruction of this haste and of those kings of the earth, it is time that maketh thee deviate into the wrong path like one in distress. Afoga, thou art competent. In the shape of thy kingdom hath calamity come to thee. Thy virtue is sustaining a very great diminution. Show what righteousness is unto thy sons. Thou that art invincibly, of what value is that kingdom to thee which bringeth sin to thee? Take care of thy good name, thy virtue, and thy fame. Thou wilt then win heaven. Let the Pandavas have their kingdom, and let the Kauravas have peace. While that best of Brahmanas was saying these words in a sorrowful tone, Dhritarashtra, the son of Anvika, accomplished in speech, once more addressed him, saying, My knowledge of life and death is similar to thine. The truth is known to me as regards these. Man, in what concerns his own interests, is deprived of judgment. Know me to be one who is an ordinary person, of immeasurable power. Thou art. I pray thee to extend thine towards us, of so under complete control. Thou art our refuge and instructor. My sons are not obedient to me. My understanding is not inclined to commit sin. Thou art the cause of the fame, the achievements, and the inclination for virtue of the Bharatas. Thou art the reverend grandsire of both the Kurus and the Pandavas. Vyasa said, Royal son of Vikhitravirya, tell me freely what is in thy mind. I will remove thy doubts. Dhritarashtra said, I desire to hear from thee of all those indications that happen unto those that become victorious impatiently. Vyasa said, The fire assumes a cheerful radiance, its light ascends upwards, its flame bends towards the right, it blazes up without being smoke. The libations poured on it yield a fragrant scent. It is said that these are the indications of future success. The conches and cymbals yield sounds that are deep and loud. The sun as well as the moon gives poor rays. It is said that these are the indications of future success. Crows, whether stationary or on their wings, utter cries that are agreeable. They again that are behind urge the warriors to advance, while they that are ahead forbid our advance. Where vultures, swans, parrots, cranes, and woodpeckers utter delightful cries, and well towards the right, the Brahmanas say that their victory in battle is certain. They whose divisions, in consequence of ornaments, coats of mail, and standards, or the melodious neigh of their steeds, become resplendent and incapable of being gasped at, always conquer their foes. They who utter cheerful shouts, those warriors whose energies are not dampened and whose garlands do not fade, always cross the ocean of battle. They who utter cheerful shouts, having penetrated into the divisions of the foe, who utter even kind words to the enemy, and who, before striking forewarn the foe, win victory, the objects of hearing, vision, taste, touch, and smell, without undergoing any change for the worse, become auspicious. This is another indication of a victorious arm. There is joy among the combatants at all time. This is another indication of success. The winds that blow, the clouds and the birds all become favorably, while the clouds and the rainbows drop beneficial showers. These are the indications of armies to be crowned with victory, while all these become otherwise in the case of those that are about to be destroyed, whether the arm be small or large. Cheerfulness as an attribute of the combatants is said to be a certain indication of victory. On soldier, struck with panic, can cause even a large arm to take fright and fly, and when an arm struck with panic takes to flight, it causes even heroic warriors to take fright. If a large arm is once broken and put to rout, it cannot, like a herd of deer disordered in fright, or a mighty current of water, be easily shocked. If a large arm is once halted, it is incapable of being rallied. On the other hand, beholding it broken, even those well skilled in battle become hurtless. Beholding soldiers struck with fear and flying, the panic spreads in other directions, and soon the whole arm is broken and flees in all directions. And when an arm is halted, even brave leaders at the head of large divisions consisting of the four kinds of forces are incapable of rallying them. An intelligent man, always exerting himself with activity, should strive by the aid of means. It is said that success which is won by negotiation and other means is the very best. That which is achieved by producing disunion is indifferent, while that success which is won by battle is the worst. In battle are many evils, the initial one, as it is said, being slaughter. Even 50 brave men who know one another, who are undepressed, who are free from familial ties, and who are firmly resolved, can crush a large arm. Even 5, 6, 7 men who are unhesitating win victory. Vinata son, Garuda, beholding even a large concourse of birds, asketh not the aid of many followers. The strength in number, therefore, of an arm is not always the cause of victory. Victory is uncertain. It depends on chance. Even they that become victorious have to sustain loss. Vaisampayana said, having said these words unto Dhritarashtra, Vyasa took his departure, and Dhritarashtra, having heard those words, began to reflect in silence, and having reflected for only a short space of time, he began to seek repeatedly, and soon the king asked Sanjaya of so worthy of praise, saying, these kings, these lords of earth, so brave and taking delight in battle, are for smithing one another with weapons of diverse kinds, being prepared to lay down their very lives for the sake of earth, incapable of being restrained. They are smithing one another for increasing the population of Yama domain. Desirous of prosperity connected with possession of earth, they are incapable of bearing one another. I think that earth must be possessed of many attributes. Tell me all these. Many thousands, many millions, many tens of millions, many hundreds of millions, heroic men have come together at Kurujangala. I desire to hear with accurate details about the situation and dimensions of those countries and cities from which they have come, through the potence of that regenerate rich Vyasa of immeasurable energy. Thou art endowed with the lamp of the celestial perception and the eye of knowledge. Sanjaya said, thou of great wisdom, I will recount to thee the merits of earth according to my knowledge. Behold them with thy eye of wisdom. I bow to thee. Creatures in this world are of two kinds, mobile and immobile. Mobili creatures are of three kinds, according to their birth: oviparous, viviparous, and those engendered by heat and damp. Of mobile creatures, the foremost are certainly those called viviparous. Of viviparous creatures, the foremost are men and animals. Animals of diverse forms are of 14 species. 7 have their abodes in the woods, and 7 of these are domestic: lions, tigers, boars, buffaloes, and elephants, as also bears and apes are regarded as wild. Kine, goats, sheep, men, horses, mules, and asses. These 7 amongst animals are reckoned as domestic by the learned. These 14 complete the tale of domestic and wild animals mentioned in the Vedas, and on which the sacrifices rest. Of creatures that are domestic, men are foremost, while lions are the foremost of those that have their abode in the woods. Our creatures support their life by living upon one another. Vegetables are said to be immobile, and they are of 4 species: trees, shrubs, creepers, creeping plants existing for 1 year, and are stemless plants of the grass species. Of mobile and immobile creatures there are thus only 20, and as regards their universal constituents there are 5. 24 in all. These are described as Gayatri, as is well known to all. He who knows these truly to be the sacred Gayatri, possessed of every virtue, is not liable to destruction in this world. Everything springeth from the earth, and everything, when destroyed, mergeth into the earth. The earth is the stay and refuge of all creatures, and the earth is eternal. He that hath the earth hath the entire universe with its mobile and immobile population. It is for this that longing for earth kings is laid on another. Dhritarashtra said, the names of rivers and mountains, as also of provinces, and all other things resting on the earth, and their dimensions. Thou that are acquainted with the mysteries of things of the earth in its entirety, and the forests, recount to me in detail. Sanjaya said, all things in the universe, in consequence of the presence of the 5 elements, have been said to be equal by the wise. These elements are space, air, fire, water, and earth. Their attributes are sound, touch, vision, taste, and scent. Every one of these elements possesses the attribute or attributes of that or those coming before it. The earth, therefore, is the foremost of them all, possessing all it does the attributes of all the other 4. Besides, what is special is on, as said by rishis acquainted with truth. There are 4 attributes in water. The scent does not exist in it. Fire has 3 attributes: sound, touch, and vision. Sound and touch belong to air, while space has sound alone. These 5 attributes exist in the 5 principal elements depending on which all creatures in the universe exist. They exist separately and independently when there is homogeneity in the universe. When, however, these do not exist in their natural state, but with one another, then creatures spring into life, furnished with bodies. This is never otherwise. The elements are destroyed in the order of the one succeeding merging into the one that proceeds, and they spring into existence, on arising from the one before it. All of these are immeasurable. their forms being Brahma itself. In the universe are seen creatures consisting of the five elements. Men endeavor to ascertain their proportions by exercising their reason. Those matters, however, that are inconceivably should never be sought to be solved by reason. That which is above nature is an indication of the inconceivable. I will describe to thee the island called Sudarsana. This island is circular and of the form of a well. It is covered with rivers and other pieces of water, and with mountains looking like masses of clouds, and with cities and many delightful provinces. It is full of trees furnished with flowers and fruits, and with crops of the best kinds, and other wealth, and it is surrounded on all sides with the salt ocean. As a person can see his own face in a mirror, even so is the island called Sudarsana, seen in the lunar disk. Two of its parts seem to be a peepul tree, while two others look like a large heart. It is surrounded on all sides with an assemblage of every kind of deciduous plants. Besides these portions, the rest is all water. What remains I will describe to thee shortly. The rest I will speak of afterwards. Listen now to these that I describe in brief. The Dhritarashtra said, Thou art intelligent and acquainted with the truth. Thou hast duly given a description of the island in brief. Tell us now of the island in detail. Tell us now of the dimension of the expanse of land that lies in the portion looking like a heart. Thou mayest then speak of the portion resembling pipala tree. Thus addressed by the king, Sanjaya began to say. Sanjaya said, Stretching from east to west are these 6 mountains that are equal, and that extend from the eastern to the western ocean. They are Himavat, Hemakuta, that best of mountains called Nishadha, Nila, abounding with stones of lapis lazuli, Siveta, white as the moon, and the mountains called Sringavat, composed of all kinds of metals. These are the 6 mountains, which are always the resorts of Siddhas and Haranas. The space lying between each of these measures 1,000 yojanas, and thereon are many delightful kingdoms, and these divisions are called Varsihas. In all those kingdoms reside creatures of the vast species. This is in the Varsiha that is called after Bharata. Next to it is the Varsiha called after Himavat. The land that is beyond Hemakuta is called High Varsiha. South of the Nila range and on the north of the Nishadha is a mountain called Malyavat that stretches from east to west. Beyond Malyavat, northwards, is the mountain called Gandhihamadana. Between these two is a globular mountain called Meru, made of gold, effulgent as the morning sun. It is like fire without smoke. It is 8,000 yojanas high, and its depth is 8 yojanas. It standeth bearing the walls above, below, and transversely. Besides Meru are situated these 4 islands, Bihadrazva, and Ketumala, and Jamvu, otherwise called Bharata, and Uttarkuru, which is the abode of persons who have achieved the merit of righteousness. The bird Sumukhiha, the son of Suparna, beholding that all the birds on Meru were of golden plumage, reflected that he should leave that mountain, inasmuch as there was no difference between the good, middling, and bad birds. That foremost of luminaries, the sun, always circumambulates Meru as the one with attendant constellation and the winged god. The mountain is endowed with celestial fruits and flowers, and it is covered all over with mansions made of furnished gold. There on that mountain the celestials, the Gandharvas, the Asuras, and the Hakishasas, accompanied by the tribe of Apsaras, always sport. There Brahman and Rudra and Sakra, the chief of the celestials, assembled together, performed diverse kinds of sacrifices with plentiful gifts, Tumburu and Narada and Visvavasu and the Hahas and the Huhus, preparing thither, adored the foremost of the celestials with diverse hymns. The high-souled seven rishis and Kasyapa, the lord of creatures, prepared thither, on every Parva day. Upon the summit of that mountain, Usanas, otherwise called the poet, sporteth with deities. The Jews and Jams and all the mountains abounding in precious stones are of Meru. Therefrom a fourth part is enjoyed by the whole Kuvera. On a 16th part of that wealth he giveth unto men. On the northern side of Meru is a delightful and excellent forest of carnicaras, covered with the flowers of every season, and occupying a range of hills. There the illustrious Pasupati himself, the creator of all things, surrounded by his celestial attendants, and accompanied by Uma, sporteth bearing a chain of carnicara flowers, reaching down to his feet, and blazing with radiance, with his 3 eyes resembling 3 rising suns. Him Siddhas, truthful in speech, of excellent vows, and austere ascetic penances, can hold. Mahesvara is incapable of being seen by persons of wicked conduct. From the summit of that mountain, like a stream of milk, the sacred and auspicious Ganga, otherwise called Bihagihatihi, adored by the most righteous, of universal form, and immeasurably and ensuing out with terrific noise, falleth with impetuous force on the delightful lake of Chandramas. That sacred lake, like an ocean, hath been formed by Ganga herself. Ganga, incapable of being supported by even the mountains, was held for 100,000 years by the bearer of Pinaka on his head. On the western side of Meru is Ketumala, and there is Jamvu khanda. Both are great seats of humanity. There the mastery of human life is 10,000 years. The men are all of a golden complexion, and the women are like Apsaras, and all the residents are without sickness, without sorrow, and always cheerful. The men born there are of the effusions of melted gold. On the summits of Gandhimadana, Kuvera, the lord of the Guhyakas, with men Hakishasas, and accompanied by tribes of Apsaras, passeth his time in joy. Besides Gandhimadana, there are many smaller mountains and hills. The mastery of human life there is 11,000 years. There the men are cheerful and endowed with great energy and great strength, and the women are all of the complexion of the lotus and highly beautiful. Beyond Nila is Siveta, beyond Siveta is Hiranyaka, beyond Hiranyaka is Airavata, covered with provinces. The last, Varsiha, in the north, and Biharatas Vasiha in the south are both of the form of a bow. These 5 Vasihas are in the middle, of which Elavrita exists in the very middle of all. Amongst the 7 Vasihas, that which is further north excels the one to its immediate south in respect of these attributes: the period of life, stature, health, righteousness, pleasure, and profit. In these Varsihas, creatures yet live together. Thus is earth covered with mountains. The hug mountains of Hemakuta are otherwise called Kailasa. There Vaisravana passed his time in joy with his Guhyakas. Immediately to the north of Kailasa and near the mountains of Mainaka, there is a hug and beautiful mountain called Manimaya, endowed with golden summits. Beside this mountain is a large, beautiful, crystal and delightful lake called Vindusaras, with golden sands. There King Bihagihatiha, beholding Ganga, called after his own name, resided for many years. There may be seen innumerable sacrificial stakes made of jams and haitia, tree made of gold. It was there that he of 1,000 eyes and great fame won success by performing sacrifices. There the Lord of all creatures, the eternal creator of all the worlds, endowed with supreme energy, surrounded by his ghostly attendants, is adored. There Nara and Narayana, Brahman and Manu and Sitihanu as the fifth are. And there the celestial stream Ganga, having 3 currents, issuing out of the region of Brahman, first showed herself, and then dividing herself into 7 streams, became Vasvokasara, Nalini, the Syncleansing Sarasvati, Jamvu Nadi, Sita, Ganga, and Sindhu as the 7th. The Supreme Lord hath made the arrangement with reference to that inconceivable and celestial stream. It is there that sacrifices have been performed on 1,000 occasions after the end of the yuga. As regards the Sarasvati, in some parts she becometh visible, and in some parts not so. The celestial 7-fold Ganga is widely known over the 3 worlds. Hakishasas reside on Himavat, Guhyakas on Hemakuta, and serpents and nagas on Nishadha, and ascetics on Gokarna. The Siveta mountains are said to be the abode of the celestial and the Asuras. The Gandhiharvas always reside on Nishadhas, and the regenerate rishis on Nila. The mountains of Sringavat are regarded as the resort of the celestials. These then are the 7 Varsihas of the world, as they are divided. The vast creatures, mobile and immobile, are placed in them all. The vast kinds of prosperity, both providental and human, are noticeable in them. They are incapable of being counted, those desirous of their own good belief. I have now told thee of that delightful region of the form of a hari, about which thou hast asked me. At the extremities of that region are the 2 Varsihas, one on the north and the other on the south. Those 2 have now been told to thee. Then again the 2 islands Nagadivipa and Kasyapa Divipa are the 2 ears of this region of the form of a hari, the beautiful mountains of Malaya, having hawks like plates of copper from another part of Jambudvipa, that having its shape resembling a hari. The Dhritarashtra said, Tell me thou of great intelligence of the regions to the north and the east side of Meru, as also of the mountains of Maliavat in detail. Sanjaya said, On the south of the Nila mountain and the northern side of Meru are the sacred northern Kurus, which are the residence of the Siddhas. The trees there bear sweet fruits, and are always covered with fruits and flowers. All the flowers are fragrant, and the fruits of excellent taste. Some of the trees again yield fruits according to will. There are again some other trees, that are called milk yielding. These always yield milk and the 6 different kinds of food of the taste of amrita itself. Those trees yield cloves, and in their fruits are ornaments. The entire land abounds with fine golden sands. A portion of the region there, extremely delightful, is seen to be possessed of the radiance of the ruby, or diamond, or of the lapis lazuli, or other jewels and gems. The seasons there are agreeably, and now here does the land become merry. The tanks are charming, delicious, and full of crystal water. The men born there have dropped from the world of the celestials. All are of poor birth, and all are extremely handsome in appearance. There twins are born, and the woman resembles apsaras in beauty. They drink the milk, sweet as amrita, of those milk-yielding trees, and the twins born there grow up equally, both possessed of equal beauty, both endowed with similar virtues, and both equally dressed, both grow up in love, like a couple of hakrabacas. The people of that country are free from illness, and are always cheerful. 10,100 years they live, and never abandon one another. A class of birds called Bihahunda, furnished with sharp beaks, and possessed of great strength, take them up when dead, and throw them into mountain caves. I have now described to thee the northern Kurus briefly. I will now describe to thee the eastern side of Meru Duli. Of all the regions there, the foremost is called Bihadarasva, where there is a large forest of Bihadara salas, as also a hug tree called Kalamra. This Kalamra is always graced with fruits and flowers. That tree again is a yojana in height, and is adored by Siddhas and the Haranas. The men there are all of white complexion, and with great energy, and possessed of great strength. The women are of the complexion of lilies, very beautiful, and agreeably to sight, possessed of radiance of the moon, and white as the moon. Their faces are as the full moon. Their bodies again are as cool as the rays of the moon, and they are all accomplished in singing and dancing. The period of human life there is 10,000 years. Drinking the juice of the Kalamra, they continue youthful forever. On the south of Nila and the north of Nishadha, there is a hug Jamvu tree that is eternal, adored by the Siddhas and Haranas. That sacred tree granteth every wish. After the name of that tree, this division have ever been called Jamvu 1,100 yojanas is the height of that prince of trees, which touches the very heavens. 2,500 cubits measure the circumference of a fruit of that tree, which bursts when ripe. In falling upon the earth, these fruits make a loud noise, and then pour out a silvery juice on the ground. That juice of the Jamvu becoming a river, and passing circuitously round Meru, cometh to the northern Kurus. If the juice of that fruit is quaffed, it conduces to peace of mind. No thirst is felt ever after. Decrepitude never weakens them, and there are species of gold called Jamvunada, and used for celestial ornaments, very brilliant, and like the complexion of Indragopoka insects, is produced. The men born there are of the complexion of the morning sun. On the summit of Maliavat is always seen the fire called Samvataka, which blazes forth at the end of the yuga for the destruction of the universe. On Maliavat summit Towards the east are many small mountains and Malyavati, measures 11,000 yojanas. The men born there are of the complexion of gold, and they are all fallen from the region of Brahman, and are utterers of Brahma. They undergo the severest of ascetic austerities, and their vital seed is drawn up. For the protection of creatures, they all enter the sun, numbering 66,000. They proceed in advance of Aruna, surrounding the sun, heated with the sun rays for 66,000 years. They then enter the lunar disk. Dhritarashtra said, "Tell me truly the names of all the Varsihas, and of all the mountains, and of all those that dwell on those mountains." Sanjaya said, "On the south of Siveta and the north of Nishadha is the Varsiha called Homanaka. The men that are born there are all of white complexion, of good parentage, and handsome features. And the men born there are all without enemies, and they live for 11,500 years, being ever of cheerful hearts. On the south of Nishadha is the Varsiha called Hiranmaya, where is the river called Hiranvati. There liveth that foremost of birds named Garuda, and the people there are all followers of the Yakishas, wealth, and of handsome features. And the men there are endowed with great strength, and have cheerful hearts, and they live for 12,500 years, which is the mastery of their lives. The mountains of Sringavat have 3 beautiful summits. One of these is made of jewels and gems. Another is very wonderful, being made of all kinds of gems and adorned with palatial mansions. There the self-luminous lady named Sandili always liveth. On the north of Sringavat and up to the margin of the sea, the Varsiha called Airavat. And because this jeweled mountain is there, therefore is this Varsiha superior to all. The sun giveth no heat there, and men are not subject to decay, and the moon there with the stars, becoming the own source of light, covereth. Possessing the radiance and complexion of the lotus, and endowed with eyes that resemble lotus petals, the men born there have the fragrance of the lotus, with winkless eyes, and agreeably scent. They go without food, and have their senses under control. They are all fallen from the region of the celestials, and are all without sin of any kind, and they live for 13,000 years, that being the mastery of their lives. And on the north of the Milk Ocean, the Lord Hari of unlimited puissance dwelleth on his car made of gold. That vehicle is endowed with 8 wheels, with numerous supernatural creatures stationed on it, and having the speed of the mind, and its complexion is that of fire, and it is endowed with mighty energy, and adorned with Jamvu gold. He is the Lord of all creatures, and is possessed of every kind of prosperity. In him the universe merges, and from him it again emanates. He is the actor, and it is he that makes all others act. He is earth, water, space, air, and fire. He sacrifices self unto all creatures, and fire is his mouth. The high-souled king Dhritarashtra, thus addressed by Sanjaya, became absorbed in meditation about his sons, and with great energy he then, having reflected, said these words: "Without doubt, it is time that destroyeth the universe, and it is time that again createth everything. Nothing here is eternal. It is Nara and Narayana endowed with omniscience that destroyeth all creatures. The gods speak of him as Vaikuntiha, while men call him Vishnu. The Dhritarashtra said, "Tell me truth of this Varsiha that is called after Bharata, where the senseless folks have been collected, in respect of which this my son Duryodhana have been very covetous, which the sons of Pandu are desirous of obtaining, and in which my mind sinketh. Tell me this, for thou art in my judgment endowed with intelligence." Sanjaya said, "Listen to me. The sons of Pandu are not covetous about this country. On the other hand, it is Duryodhana that is covetous, and Sakuni, the son of Suvala, as also many other Kshatriyas who are rulers of the provinces, who being covetous of this country are not able to bear on another. I will now tell thee of the tract of land known by Bharata name. This land is the beloved one of Indra, and this land that is called after Bharata is the beloved land of Manu, the son of Vivasvat, of Prithu, of Vainiya, of the high-souled Ikizhaku, of Yayati, of Amvahisha, of Mandihatri, of Nahusha, of Mukhukunda, of Sivi, the son of Uzinara, of Hishava, of Ila, of King Niriga, of Kusika, of the high-souled Gadhi, of Somaka, and of Dilipa, and also of many other mighty Kshatriyas. I will now describe to thee that country as I have heard of it. Listen to me as I speak of what thou hast asked me. Mahendra, Malaya, Sahiya, Sukitimat, Hakishavat, Vindhya, and Paripatra. These seven are the Kala mountains. Besides these, there are thousands of mountains that are unknown, of hard make, hug, and having excellent valleys. Besides these, there are many other smaller mountains inhabited by barbarous tribes, Aryans and Mlekhas, and many races mixed of the two elements drink the waters of the following rivers: magnificent Ganga, Sindhu, and Sarasvati, of Godavari and Narmada, and the large river called Yamuna, of Dirishadivati, and Vipapa, and Vipasa, and Sitihula Valuka, of the river Vetravati, and that other one called Krishnavena, of Iravati, and Vitasta, and Payosiini, and Devika, of Vedasmrita, and Vedavat, and Tridiva, and Ikishumalavi, of Karishini, and Khitravaha, and the river called Khitrasena, of Gomati, and the Hutapada, and the large river called Gandaki, of Kausiki, and Niskhitra, and Kirtiya, and Nikhita, and Lohatarini, of Hazhasi, and Satakumbiha, and Sarayu, of Harmanvati, and Vetravati, and Hastisoma, and Disa, of the river called Saravati, and Vena, and Bhimahatihi, of Kaveri, and Huluka, and Vina, and Satavala, of Nivara, and Mahila, and Supra-yoga, of Pavitra, and Kundala, and Hajani, and Puramalini, of Purvabhihama, and Vira, and Bhishma, and Ogihavati of Palasini, and Papahara, and Mahendra, and Patalavati of Karishini, and Asikini, and the large river Kusakhira of Makari, and Pravara, and Mena, and Hema, and Diritavati of Puravati, and Anusna, and Saivya, and Kapi of Sadanira, and Adhizhiya, and the mighty stream Kusadihara of Sadakanta, and Siva, and Viravati of Vatsu, and Suvastu, and Kampana with Hiranvati of Vara, and Maghira Pankhami of Hatihahitra, and Jyotihatha, and Visvamitra, and Kapinjala of Upendra, and Vahula, and Kukhira, and Madhuvahini of Vinadi, and Pinjala, and Vena, and the great river Pungavena of Vidiza, and Krishnavena, and Tamra, and Kapila of Salu, and Suvama, the Vedasva, and the mighty river Harishava of Sigiha, and Piskhala, and the river Viharadivaj, of the river Kausiki, and Sona, and Khandrama, of Durga Mantrasila, and Brahma Vodhiya, and Vrihadivati, of Yaviksha, and Hohi, and Yamvunadi, of Sunasa, and Tamasa, and Dasi, and Vasa, and Varuna, and Asi, of Nila, and Dirimati, and the mighty river Parnasa, of Pomasi, and Vrizhabhiha, and Brahma Medhiya, and Vrihadihani. These and many other large rivers, such as Sadonirmaya, and Krishna, and Mandaga, and Mandavahini, and Mahagouri, and Durga, and Khitropala, Khitrahatha, and Manjula, and Vahini, and Mandakini, and Vaitarani, and Kosa, and Mahanadi, and Sukitimati, and Ananga, and Puspaveni, and Utipalavati, and Lohitiya, Karatoya, and Vrizhasavihiya, and Kumari, and Hizhikuliya, and Marizha, and Sarasvati, and Mondakini, and Supuniya, Sarvasanga, are all mothers of the universe and productive of great merit. Besides these, there are rivers by hundreds and thousands that are not known. I have now recounted to thee all the rivers as far as I remember. After these, listen to the names of the provinces as I mention them. They are the Kuru Pankhalas, the Salvas, the Madreyas, the Jangalas, the Surasena, the Kalingas, the Vodihas, the Malas, the Machesiyas, the Sauvalias, Kuntalas, the Kasikosalas, the Kheds, the Karuzhas, the Bihoshas, the Sindhus, the Pulindakas, the Utamas, the Dasarnas, the Mekalas, the Utikalas, the Pankhalas, the Kausijas, the Nikarpristihas, the Huhandiharas, the Sodhas, the Madravihujingas, the Cassis, and the further Cassis, the Jatiharas, the Kukuras, the Dasarnas, the Kuntis, the Avantis, and the further Kuntis, the Gomantas, the Mandakas, the Sihandas, the Vidarbihas, the Hupavahikas, the Asvakas, the Pansuhastras, the Gopahastras, and Karitiyas, the Adhir Jayas, the Kuladiyas, Malahastras, the Keralas, the Varatrasiyas, the Apavahas, the Khakras, the Vakratapas, the Sakas, the Videhas, the Magadhas, the Sivakishas, the Malayas, the Vijayas, the Angas, the Vangas, the Kalingas, the Yakrilomans, the Malas, the Sudelas, the Pranhadas, the Mahikas, the Sasikas, the Valhikas, the Vatadhihanas, the Abhihas, the Kalajoshakas, the Aparantas, the Parantas, the Panabhihas, the Karma Mandalas, the Atavisikiharas, the Meaubhihutas, the Upavritas, the Anupavritas, the Suras Hatras, Kekayas, the Kutas, the Mahayas, the Kakishas, the Samudraniskutas, the Andihas, and many hill tribes, and many tribes residing on lands lying at the foot of the hills, and the Angamalajas, and the Manavanjakas, the Pravishayas, and the Vihargavas, the Pundras, the Vihargas, the Kiratas, the Sudesnas, and the Yamunas, the Sakas, the Nishadhas, the Anartas, the Nairitas, the Durgalas, the Pratimasias, the Kuntalas, and the Kusalas, the Tiragrahas, the Ijakas, the Kanyakagunas, the Tilabiharas, the Samiras, the Madhumatas, the Sukandakas, the Kasmiras, the Sindhu Salviras, the Gandhiharvas, and the Darsakas, the Abhisaras, the Utulas, the Saivalas, and the Valhikas, the Darvis, the Vanavadarvas, the Vatagas, the Amahatyas, and the Uragas, the Vahuvadhyas, the Kauravias, the Sudamanas, the Sumalikas, the Vadhyas, the Karishakas, the Kalindas, and the Upatiyakas, the Vatayanas, the Homanas, and the Kusavindas, the Kakyas, the Gopal Kakyas, the Kuruvarnakas, the Kiratas, the Varvasas, the Siddhas, the Vaidehas, and the Tamhaliptas, the Aundra, the Paundras, the Saisikatas, and the Parvatiyas. There are other kingdoms in the south. They are the Dravidas, the Keralas, the Prakyas, the Mushikas, and the Vanavashikas, the Karnatakas, the Mahishakas, the Vikalpas, and the Mushakas, the Hilikas, the Kuntalas, the Saunhidas, and the Nalakananas, the Kankutakas, the Kholas, and the Malavayakas, the Samangas, the Kanakas, the Kukuras, and the Angara Mahishas, the Samangas, the Caracas, the Kukuras, the Angaras, the Mahishas, the Vaginis, the Utisavas, the Sanketas, the Trigartas, and the Salvacena, the Vacas, the Cocaracas, the Pastris, and the Lamavegavasas, the Vindihia Hulacas, the Polindas, and the Valcalas, the Malavas, the Valavas, the further Valavas, the Kulindas, the Calavas, the Kuntaucas, and the Caratas, the Mhizhacas, the Tanavalas, the Sanias, the Alidas, the Pasivatas, the Tanayas, and the Sulanias, the Hizhicas, the Vidarbihas, the Kakas, the Tanganas, and the further Tanganas. Among the tribes of the north are the Mlekhas and the Kruhas, the Yavanas, the Khinas, the Kambojas, the Dahunas, and many Mlekha tribes, the Sukritivahas, the Kulatihas, the Hunas, and the Parasikas, the Hamanas, the Khinas, and the Dasamalikas. These countries are, besides, the abodes of men Kishatriya, Vaisya, and Sudra tribes. Then again there are the Sudra Abhihiras, the Dardas, the Kashmiras, and the Patis, the Kihasiras, the Atreyas, the Biharadivashas, the Stana Poshikas, the Poshakas, the Kalingas, and the West tribes of Kiratas, the Tomaras, the Hansamaragas, and the Karamanjakas. These and other kingdoms are on the east and on the north. Alluding to them briefly, I have told thee our earth, if its resources are properly developed according to its qualities and prowess, is like an ever-yielding coal, from which the threefold fruits of virtue, profit, and pleasure may be milked. Brave kings conversant with virtue and profit have become covetous of earth, and that with activity they would even cast away. The Dhritarashtra said, "How hath Bhishma, that bow among the Kurus, been slain by Sikhandin? How did my father, who assembled Vasava himself, fall down from his car? What became of my sons, when they were deprived of the might Bhishma, who was like unto a celestial, and who led a life of Brahmacharya, for the sake of his father? Upon the fall of that tiger among men, who was endowed with great wisdom, great capacity of exertion, great might, and great energy, how did our warriors feel? Hearing that bow amongst the Kurus, that foremost of men, that unwavering hero is slain, great is the grief that pierceth my heart. While advancing, who followed him and who proceeded ahead? Who stayed by his side? Who proceeded with him? What brave combatants followed behind? That tiger among cow warriors, that wonderful archer, that bull among Kishatriyas, while he penetrated into the divisions of the fora. While seizing the hostile ranks, what warriors opposed that slayer of foes, assembling the luminar of thousand rays, who, spreading the horror among the fora, destroyed their ranks like the sun destroying darkness, and who achieved immediately amongst the ranks of Pandu's sons feats exceedingly difficult of accomplishment. How did the Pandavas oppose immediately the son of Santanu, that accomplished and invincible warrior, when he approached them, smiting, slaughtering the hands having arrows for his teeth, and full of energy, with the bow for his wide open mouth, and with the terrible sword for his tongue, and invincibly a very tiger among men, ended with modest, and never before vanquished. How did Kunti's son overthrow impatiently that unconquered on, undeserving as he was of such a fate, that fierce bowman, shooting fierce shafts, stationed on his excellent car and plucking off the heads of foes, that warrior irresistibly as the yuga fire, beholding whom addressed for fatally the great arm of the Pandavas always used to waver,